With quarantine in place for the majority of the summer, there hasn't been much for me to do except stare at the walls and the things inside my house. When considering the wise words of Marie Kondo, it felt like there was a change that needed to happen in my own life. While I don't consider myself a full-on minimalist, there are aspects to it that I would like to try to incorporate into my everyday lifestyle. According to USA Today, the average American spends around $1,497 a month on non-essential items, which is roughly around $18,000 a year. While I do think it is important to treat yourself, I also think it's important to consider the purchases you are making and ask yourself, is this really worth it? Many college students either live in a small dorm or a small apartment, and minimalism is a way to efficiently use your living space and save money at the same time. So today I will be speaking of this minimalistic lifestyle, the history behind it, the mentality it can create, and the pros and cons to it. So first off, to truly understand what minimalism is, I think it's important to understand exactly where it came from and the history behind it. And so according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, minimalism first started out in the arts. So this includes visual arts, music, and in poetry. And so in visual arts, it refers to reduction tendencies. So it started out in 1913 with the Russian artist Kazimir Malevich, who created this piece of art, which is essentially just a black square on white ground. And these minimalistic artists believed that action painting was too personal or insubstantial, and so they've adopted this point of view that the work of an art should only refer to itself and nothing else. And now, according to the Princeton Encyclopedia, minimalism in music refers to just minimal sound. And so a great example of this is La Monnaie Young's composition number 7, which was created with only 2 notes, B and F sharp, and his instructions to it was just to hold both of these notes for a long period of time. So in both in music and the visual arts, minimalism was an attempt to explore the essential elements of an art form. And then in poetry, it can refer to just very short and condensed poems. And so a great contributor to minimalism poetry is Samuel Beckett. He was famous because his poems just were short phrases that were still very complex. And so that's why he was so popular in this minimalism poetry world. And so this idea in art that both essential instruments and essential focus pieces in art has become popular now in home design and in architecture. However, also one of the reasons why minimalism is becoming more and more popular is because of the mentality it can help create, which brings me on to my second point. So according to becomingaminimalist.com, it offers the mentality of minimalism. It offers people a life of less stress, less distraction, more freedom, and more time. Because decluttering your life can also lead to a decluttered mind, and so now you can focus on your own self. You can focus on money and time and on things that actually benefit you rather than these items that you have. It can also help with finances, so creating this mentality of choosing between essential and non-essential items can help lead you to save money since you're no longer having to live beyond your needs. And I know with the corona, employment is rising, stock prices are falling, and many can't afford to live with like certain luxuries or certain purchases beyond their needs. And so having this mentality of being able to decide what is important is especially important in this day of time. It can also help you be aware of your surroundings. So people are putting aside their happiness in these materialistic items and are actually finding it in other things such as relationships, social causes, and significance. You also can become distressed, and so you're no longer taking out aggression in others, and so it just helps you be aware of your surroundings and just helps you create your best self. There are also many pros and cons to both living the way you are, not minimalistic, but there are also pros and cons to the minimalism lifestyle itself. And so according to Rick Forger, who is a minimalistic himself, says that some of the pros and cons to just staying as you are are important to factor in. So just staying as you are, one of the pros can be it can feel good to own stuff. We live in a world that tells us, instant gratification, like new technology, new furniture, new house, that's the way we measure success. However, staying in this lifestyle, it can create this mentality for instant gratification, which can lead to both a mental and financial drain. And so, looking at the pros and cons of the minimalism lifestyle, one of the pros is you develop a sense of self control. You have time for other stuff. This sense of control comes from deciding whether or not you should keep it or not keep it. However, it can also, the cons to this, it can create your shift from owning stuff to other things. So it can create, this addiction of like browsing the web, binging on Netflix or TV, because you're no longer focusing your point of view on just the things around you and the things you own. Another pro is, of course, it requires less space and you can downsize. However, one of the cons to this is it can lead to an addiction. This mentality of, oh, I should have gotten rid of blah, 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 can lead to this obsessive behavior and can lead to discouragement, thinking, man, I should have gotten rid of this. And so today, I've discussed the history of minimalism, the mentality it creates, and the pros and cons to it. And so, who knows when this quarantine will end? Perhaps we'll hit a second wave and we'll have to go back into lockdown. And so this would be a great time to consider minimalism, and I can see it becoming more and more popular as we continue to go on through this corona.